Genshin Impact is an action RPG gacha game that was released September of 2020 by the company HoYoverse, previously published under MiHoYo. The game is about a traveler who is separated from their twin due to an unknown goddess, and you have to traverse the land of Teyvat with a small little companion named Paimon and explore all 7 nations to find answers about your sibling. Each nation is heavily based on one or more countries, and it's very apparent in things such as the architect, the NPCs, the foods you're able to cook, and most importantly, the characters you can play. I have been a semi-active player since spring of 2021, right before Eula's Banner came out for the first time. The pull for me to play this game were the character designs and seeing how beautifully crafted the Mondstadt and Liyue characters were and how their designs properly represented the real-world countries their nations were inspired by. I thought the same thing with Inazuma and Fontaine for the most part as well. However, with the release of Sumeru in 2022, I took a long break from the game as I was dissatisfied with how poorly represented the characters were. Many fans were outraged over the lack of care in their outfits, name pronunciation, and of course, the lack of melanin too. As a majority of South Asia, North Africa, and Southwest Asia are at least brown to some capacity. A lot of people who were defending HoYoverse at the time used excuses such as, it's a fictional game, it's a Chinese company, and the biggest one being, wait until Natlan, then you'll get your rep. Even with my dislike of the Sumeru characters, I still came back anxiously waiting for the release of the Natlan characters as I myself am Latino, more specifically in the Caribbean region. Despite knowing I won't be exactly represented, I was still excited to see how well HoYoverse will represent Natlan. I'm actually very disappointed. Nothing really interesting came out of this except for the fact that they rumored a tournament. The nation is supposedly based on indigenous and African cultures, people who are known for a diverse range of brown and dark skin tones, just like me. But when watching the Natlan teaser, I was met with extreme disappointment. None of the characters barely even look like they came from Africa, Polynesia, or indigenous Latin America, and more so look like one of HoYoverse's other games like Honkai Star Rail or even their newest game, Zenless Zone Zero. And on top of that, none of the characters share skin tone like me. Yansen is the closest thing to it, and even then her skin tone is completely desaturated, and she's most likely supposed to be African based on her name. The character with a skin tone similar to me, a Latina player, is supposed to be black, not Latina. I've seen many people within the community draw and edit these characters with darker skin, and most of the time it tends to actually help their character designs as the brown and black skin tones bring out their color palettes. Some people even believe that the character designers originally intended them to be darker, but were changed to be super pale last minute. I don't know if that was the case or not. I'm not saying it is, but either way, I believe making darker characters would help both diversity and design-wise in the game. I've also seen people talk about how Yansen's name is misspelled. The divine spirit her name was based on has multiple ways of spelling it, yet she's not named after a single one of these. The same goes for the character Oberon, who is also misspelled, at least in the English version apparently. He could have been named Odoron or any of these other spellings, yet he was not named after any of these. Even the assumed Pyro Archon herself, Mahuika, is misspelled and supposed to be named Mahuika. How can a multi-million-dollar company take time to research many real-world countries and religions and cultures, and mess up spelling 3 of their own characters? There isn't even representation in voice acting, as almost all the English voice actors for Natlan are white. I would have assumed whoever does the casting for the characters would hire on black and Latino voice actors, since they clearly did a good job hiring a mostly Asian cast for Inazuma and Swanaza actors for Sumeru. We have seen HoYoverse represent cultures properly. The characters of Yunjin and Yaming are perfect examples of taking inspirations and making their designs both good-looking and respectful to said inspirations. But when it comes to any other cultures outside of China, that respect goes out the window and creates character designs that are insensitive and careless. Rosaria, a character in Mondstadt, is based on a nun, and her initial outfit was very much sexualized, with her shoulders and back exposed, dread slits that go up to her hips, and nothing but fishnets to cover her legs. It was a clear sexualization of a religion. It wasn't until 10 months later where HoYoverse officially gave her an alternative outfit, covering her shoulders, giving her shorts and thigh-high boots, but it's still sexualizing nuns regardless. Two other prime examples are Inazuma's Archon as well as her familiar, Red Shogun/A and Yae Miko, having a short kimono and shrine maiden outfit when these actual outfits cover up their bodies in a more modest way. This also shows sexualization of cultural wear. And like in a previous claim of Sumeru characters being poorly represented, the main one people point to as the biggest example is Dori. The second her design was revealed, many people have talked about how her entire outfit was an oral into the stereotype in of itself, with people calling it a mishmash of different cultures and isn't being presented in an accurate way. Even with her personality, Dori has shown to be the greedy, money-hungry scammer stereotype that has been harmfully given to Swanessa characters. These are just few examples of how HoYoverse doesn't care about respecting people's culture that aren't their own in just Genshin Impact, and there's most likely many more in the game, as well as HoYoverse's other games, and it will only continue when Natlan comes just around the corner. We've already seen it in leaks of the game. There's a chance the leaks I mention here can always be subject to change, but I would still like to address them. For example, Kachina and Mualani's idol animations. Kachina is speculated to be doing capoeira in this specific idol, a type of martial arts dance that was originally created by Afro-Brazilians. Of course, anyone can do the dance, but Kachina is Native American, specifically of the Hopi tribe. She could have had another idol altogether and give the capoeira idol to a character that has Brazilian influences like Shaolin. And in Mualani's idol, you can see her playing with maracas, specifically ones you see in South America or the Caribbean. Mualani herself is Hawaiian, and the culture actually uses uli uli, and the dance for them is completely different from the ones you see in her idol. This is just two examples of what we've seen HoYoverse done wrong so far in Natlan. Trust me, there's plenty more we've seen where people have been memeing on it. But if it's already this bad, I can't say I have high hopes for when this update comes out. This game has started to become a disappointment to me. Seeing both the North American, South American, and even the Chinese community come out and agree that Natlan has been the most poorly designed nation yet. The criticism is loud enough to the point that multiple English voice actors from HoYoverse's games and official HoYoverse content creators are speaking out against these character designs. It's even getting articles from companies like Game Rant, Scream Rant, Kotaku, and even IGN is talking about them as well. It shows that this is an actual issue. Saying that Genshin Impact is a work of fiction and is not related to actual people, events, groups, or organizations isn't an excuse, as the team directly uses real-world people, cultures, religion, and history as inspirations for their game. Even said this in a video talking about Genshin Impact itself.
Under the fantasy world concept, we have a motivation to enrich the world with diversity of different culture styles. So players from all around the world may find something fun and interesting in the game. For instance, in Liyue, although it is heavily inspired by Chinese culture, we hope that not only can Chinese players feel connected to Liyue, but also the players from different backgrounds enjoying the ancient and living culture from a fresh perspective. As said, we want to create a fantasy world filled with culture diversity. We believe the anime art style allows us to collaborate and integrate more culture element into a visually stunning world. The characters and the world of Tibet are indeed important carriers of the concept of the diversity.
Yet, the HoYoverse team can probably use those inspirations in a careful and respectful manner. Games such as Arknights, Disalight, and Reverse 1999 are made by Chinese company like HoYoverse. And even those games show diversity in cultures in a fantastic way. Their characters have outfits that respectfully represent their culture and make their skin tone to be accurate to their ethnicity as well. People can easily disregard all of these points and continue to defend HoYoverse. They can just tell me and other people talking about the situation to not play the game. But how will these issues get fixed if no one is going to talk about it and address the clear issues HoYoverse continues to make again and again? I want Genshin Impact to give me the same joy of looking at pretty character designs as it did when I first started the game. But I can't do that if I and many others don't talk about it. Boycotting HoYoverse is the best we can do. Do not give them any money. Do not participate in any of the giveaways. Share posts from creators and fans of color who are expressing their distaste of this issue, and encourage others to do the same. Send HoYoverse your thoughts on this issue through the feedback or surveys option, or even email them. Review bomb the games expressing how you want them to change this issue. Use hashtag Boycott HoYoverse and fix Natlan, and sign the petition I have linked in the description of this video. I hope that HoYoverse will know how big of a problem this is and will get fixed, at least with adding more playable Natlan characters with darker skin tones, and proper clothing that represents the countries the nation is based on. And HoYoverse won't ignore the criticism their fans are giving them worldwide.